Okay, people, can you hear me okay? Don't hear me? Okay, good, thanks. All right, and remember, have your cameras going so I can see you. I want to get used to your faces, okay? Let's see. Okay, so I think most everybody here was in the O2O. I think Justice is new. But this is, you're only in the O2O. Not everybody is in the O2O. Most of the class is, but there are some people in this class that are not. So, but everybody in here in 120 is also, everybody in the O2O is also in the 120 for this section, but not everybody in the O2O, I mean, the 120 is in the O2O. And that's a kind of a set question. We'll talk about that. We might not get into it too much today, but that's what we first talking about is this concept of sets. And that's a example. All right, I'm going to wait a few minutes and see if we can get a few more people in here. Anybody got anything like to ask or share? I'm going to share my screen and then put the syllabus for this class. The syllabus for this class is should be in modules. Although the way they have it set up now, it's, I always like to make it blue, but if you click on that right there, that's a little mini bio. This is the addendum, which has got my schedule, or the schedule for the semester. It's just like in the other, in the O2O. So this is the credit bearing class. This is the one you want to put all your focus into. The O2O is there to help support you in doing well in this class. And this is where all the important stuff is at. Again, it's like a contract, anything that we do in the class, it's explained in here on how we do it. This class is a little bit different because we're not using Alex in this class. I'm testing out this system called Newton. And for those of you in the O2O at the end of the semester, I'd like to get your feedback on which one you like better. There's supposed to be what's called adaptive learning. So we'll just see how Newton stacks up. Alex has got some good aspects about it, but there are some things that I don't like. So here's the calendar of the material that we will cover. Like today, we will basically have an orientation on just how to get started, which is what I did in the morning part for the O2O. We will have a little lecture. And in here, these are video recordings that I have made last time I taught this course, which was last semester. And as we go through and I make new recordings, I will play, I will replace those in here. So you will have fresh ones. And so you can come here. You don't need to go into the recordings. Recordings are a pain in the neck to me. You just kind of come here and you click on it, and it's in YouTube. So if you ever miss something or you think you didn't you weren't able to come to class or you missed something in class, you can come back and look at the recordings and get through them just like you would anything else in YouTube. So the way the class is set up is there's 4 chapters. The first chapter is chapter 2, and it's called Set Theory. Set theory is basically just a way of looking at the relationships between groups of objects. We'll talk about it a little bit today, and then tomorrow we'll learn a little bit more. But don't get upset if you've not heard of it. So the way it works is after we go over each chapter, we will have an assigned review. It's not in, it's a separate assignment from the individual. Again, I don't know what the word that Newton uses. They don't use path, but those are assignments that are adaptive and they work very similar to what's in Alex. And then there'll be a review for all this material in one little quiz that is essentially a precursor of the test. Okay. And my advice is always when you get that access, and it'll be about a week before the actual test, go through that thing and make sure you know it backwards and forwards, because if you can do that well on the little review quiz, then you should do fine on the test. And you want to do fine on the test because that's where the grades come from in this class, where the majority of the grades. All right. So then after chapter 2, we got chapter 3, and then we have a chapter 3 test. There'll be a little review for it and then a test on a specific date. I'll talk a little bit about it as we get to the class. I think for most of these little tests, we may do what's called Zoom, like you're doing now. You'll just have the camera on you while you're testing, and I can watch you. The division, which is called STEM, science and math and some other things thrown in, they want us to use the Respondus browser for the midterm and the final. I'm still working on getting the Respondus working in this Newton system because I've not used it before. So they may have something similar, and if it's Respondus, then all the better. But when we get closer to that, I'll fill you in on that. So then before midterm, which is about a little over 3 weeks, okay, it goes faster in the summer, we're going to cover a couple of sections of chapter 10, and then we'll have the midterm. And then after midterm, we will finish chapter 10. And 10 is kind of the behemoth in the bunch because it's a large chapter. So that's why I break it up. And then once we get to chapter 10 and finish, we'll have review and test. And I also got an extra little test we'll throw in there because if I got 5 tests, I can drop one. And then after we have our tests for chapter 10, we move into chapter 11 for the home stretch, have one more test, and then the final exam is on the 18th. All right. It's a strange time. And I know that that can be an issue for people working, but make a note of it beforehand now that it's different from this time. And I cannot change that time, or I have to stick as close to that time as possible because that's the college-wide exam schedule. And if we start changing it too much, there'll be conflicts because it's the way it's set out now. There will be no conflicts with any other class at Delgado. So on that 18th, we get half a day. We get like 3:30 and 5:30 and 6 to 8 p.m. Strange, but that's the way it works. So I take attendance, and it does not affect your grade, but I just keep track of it because the department wants to know who comes. And so make sure you got your camera on. And then we're going to do things throughout the semester that'll uh, go into the grade book in Canvas. And it takes a while to sync, so don't be too worried about the dates in there, because right now it's got dates from last semester. And so as the dates progress in here, they'll replace and update, right? This, Alex, and one of the things I don't like about it so much is it doesn't sync up as well as it should, in my opinion, from Canvas to the Alex site, because the Alex site is a separate. You can work on it through Canvas, but like I said, you don't get the full benefit of the Alex system unless you're in. Unless you're actually in Alex. All right, so I got a class here somewhere. Anybody got any questions? What? Oh, that's right. This one's not in Alex. Okay, I'm just a dope. All right. Because I'm so used to that. All right, so this one is in what we call Newton. And here's where the system is pretty nice. I'll show you some benefits to it. I'll just finish this up real quick. And as I said, I put videos up here. We don't have but one holiday, July 4th, which is a Thursday. There's no text for the 120, but there's plenty of material. I have my own little textbook that I use. It doesn't look like a book, but it's basically just a big file with information in it that we'll go through. This right here is another Newton resource. If you need help reviewing, they give you some pointers on how to use their system to review. Like, for example, if an assignment is already completed or if it's gone by, you've got an alternative way to like study for that or review material. All right. So I want to take some time with this because this is the heart of the course. The way that it's set up is 65% of the semester grade is made up of the learning path. That's the what we might call the homework. I'm going to put here Newton assignments. Let's put that. And then this right here, test preps. That's usually where I put your reviews at. But everything's going to be in Newton test preps. And then tests, midterm is 25%. Now, I'm going to give you 5 tests. And like I said, if I can give you 5 tests, I can drop one of them. And all of those would be 25% of the grade. Each one of the tests is 5%. And then that's my test that will hopefully prepare you for the midterm, which is 25%, and the final exam, which is 35%, and that makes up your 100%. Okay, so keep in mind too that there are dates on there. I'm going to have those dates set up by Monday on what I'm going to do. You should be able to start working on the first one in there, and I'll show you how to get there in a minute. But I'm trying to figure out how to do the dates to make it the best for both of us. I don't want to just keep them open until the last day of class, because that's a recipe in disaster, because nobody can do the whole class at the end of the semesters like that. But I got to figure out a way to do it. And because I do want to give you some grace in there, so if you miss a date or two, you can go back. But since I've just now using Newton, I got to go in and see what the options are. So if you miss things, like I said, is you don't look back, you look forward, because you're not going to take a 0 provided you finish the class successfully on anything. Because what's going to happen is if you miss one of my little tests there, at the end of the semester, you make it up when we do the final exam. So that's Newton. And they're going to be open. And like I said, I'm going to straighten that out. And if you ever have a problem, like the tests are going to be basically on here about what day they're going to be. So you'll know beforehand. So if you see something coming up and you're headed into surgery or you got to go fix somebody's broken arm, let me know ahead of time so we can work it out. All right. I'll be happy to do that because after the fact, you're going to think I'm a jerk after the fact because after the fact, I can't go back and fix things as well as I can going forward. But like I said, I'm not going to do my best to not penalize you for anything if you miss something and you got no other recourse. You're going to do all right if you just hang in there. So, and I also got to figure out the responders for this class, how that works. But the first class will be just a Zoom. The first test will be just a Zoom test. It looks like everybody in here is all nice and functioning. So that's one of the prerequisites that the technical issues are yours because you're using your own computer. And I don't say that lightly because I've got this office set up, and if I have had to have somebody from Delgado come over and deal with it every time I have an issue, I would never be ready to go. I got to be the one that's got to have everything set up. And so a certain amount of technical expertise is yours to handle because you're on that side and I'm on this side. I can give you some support, but it's really hard to fix things, remotely. I can tell you what to do, but it's very hard to do it for you. Like if I were in class, a regular classroom. All right. So the same thing with this one, as I said earlier, for the O2O, make sure you're up and working in your system by the 10th. That is the 7th day of class. That is the date when the department wants me to drop any students that have not made any substantial contribution to the class. All right. Can you think anything that you'd like to ask? Sounded like somebody came in. Let's see who we got.
So, Mr. Cruz, is there at any point do we have to come in to school to like test or
No,
anything?
we shouldn't have to unless you got technical issues. I had a lady, actually, I had a couple of people last semester. They were having technical issues, so they just came into my class where I actually do face to face, but not in the normal sense. No, not unless there's something that you absolutely can't do with your system. But I'm sure I got everybody here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Yep. All right. So this is the way that Newton system works. All right. It's different. And from what I've seen so far, I like it because it is more integrated into Canvas than Alex is able to be. Like I said, I have all kinds of problems with the dates not syncing and assignments not syncing the grades, and I got to go in and do them by hand. But on this one, I'm hoping that's not going to be so much of an issue. But anyway, if you go to assignments, like for example, and we go here to upcoming assignments. This right here, oh, I'll fix those dates right there. Those are, again, that's old dates. I'll fix that. So if you click on this, oh, and I'm gonna have to straighten this out. But anyway, it'll still be there. I may put it into a different folder, but you just click on it, and then if everything goes fine, it puts you in there. And it's based upon mastery, just like Alex is. So it's that same concept. So you keep going. So they give you a little video to watch, and then they give you a question. You're going to have my lecture as well. So you might like this one better. I think I even know this lady that did this. And then answer the question. You may not be able to answer it unless you look at the video or unless we have class first. But you got the option to go in there now if you want to and work on that using that video. The material is at your convenience the way this works. We have certain benchmarks because we got to make sure that by midterm we're all as caught up as we can be, because that's going to be half the material in the class. So, but anyway, that's the way Newton works. It's a little bit better than Alex so far. But let's see. Roster method. So roster method, I'll just show you that right now. So roster method works like this. So for Pepper, they want us to write this, and it's almost kind of silly in a way, but that just means we're going to do this. So that's what they mean when they mean roster method. So the letters in the word pepper are P, comma, E, comma, P, B, D, E, R. And truthfully, if we have the P twice, we don't really need it. It doesn't hurt it. But if you have something that repeats in a set, you only put it once. So that would be the answer. Let's see what they say. Where am I put the answer at? Right there. Let's see if they like that. Oh, and they got a calculator too. Uh-oh. Do they want me to put that extra P in there? Let's see. Let's see what they don't like. Answer 2. Oh, what did it ask? The letters in the word. Oh, well, I'm just kind of a dope here. All right, look at that. See, and this is how you might be operating. I'm going in cold, but look what it's saying. What I told you was correct. We don't repeat things, but we got 3 P's in there and 2 E's. So the only thing that exists in there that's unique is P, E, and R, because pepper has 3 P's, but we only need one of them, has 2 E's, but we only need one of them, and 1 R, which we'll use that one. We'll get a little bit more on that. I know it kind of seems crazy. And then we close with the bracket, curly bracket. Open with a curly bracket, close with it. They call it a brace. I guess that's right. But anyway, That's just to give you a little idea how it works. It seems to be all right. It's not as fancy looking as Alex, but it does all the same thing. Let's see what happens if we try to keep going on. Since I didn't do that one right. So here's one. It wants the first five perfect squares. So 1 is the first one. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 squared is 16. And 5 squared is 25. Those are what we call perfect squares. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. And 5 squared is 25. Look at that. All right. Sometimes I got it. And then you're going to keep on. It's going to take you through a host of those problems, just like that Alex did. But like I said, it works a little bit different. All right. Anybody got anything? Is this enough of this? Or you want to see something else in here? All right. Seems like there's something else I should show you. And the good thing about Newton, there is nowhere else to go. You go through Canvas. So, what you, Chantel, was saying that you liked going through Canvas? Well, with this one, it'd be all the better for you, and it works perfectly. With Alex, it's just that it doesn't sync as well as it should, so it can be confusing sometimes. All right, so I'm going to also, for an assignment, I'm going to put the upload your ID in here, and that goes in this test prep section. Let's see, and today is May. So let's just go to like June 10th or June 3rd. Over here in this one, if you do it in 020, you don't need to do it here. But same kind of thing. So it should be ready to go. And then I'm going to put this one more assignment. The respondus, because with this one we got to use respondus. Oh, that's right. So we're not using a respondus in Alex, so I'll wait on that one. Once I get back, once they contact me and tell me how to set up respondus over there, I'll have that set up. So right now you got the ID thing. Upload your ID. All right. So back to this. Anyway, email is probably the best way to contact me. That's a number you can text me and I can talk to you on the phone there. This is where you can see my schedule. So everything is virtual with this summer. So that's the morning class. That's this one. I'm sorry, this is the morning class. This is us. And that's when I'm hanging around looking for students. All right. Anybody got anything? I'm starting to run out of stuff to tell you because there's really not that much to it once we get up and going. So same thing with the calculator. This is the only calculator you can bring into the midterm or final exam. Okay. So make sure you have this one. You can use the one in the 020. If you're in the 020, there's the Alex calculator. But for uh, Newton, I don't know what they have. They did have a calculator in there, but I've not used it to see how well it works. All right, so we still got only half the class, okay? All right. So, is anybody having any trouble getting in or anything to the Zoom? I suspect that that might be the issue with half these students. I had a student tell me that they were in class during the 11 o'clock time and nobody was there. I thinking what they were in is they were in this one, the 120, while we were in the 020. All right, so let's just look at a little bit of this. And like I said, we'll get out early today, but I'll hang around afterwards in case you got questions. All right, now a set. This is the concept behind set theory. We're talking about these things called sets, and a set is just a collection of objects from some fixed universe of objects we call U. So if we're talking about, let's say, the English alphabet, then there's 26 letters that we can pick from, and we can go in and pull out vowels. We can go in and pull out consonants. We can go in and pull out any group of things, anything before H, let's say. The letters between M and Z. We can pull them out by any criteria. And what that is, it's a definition. And as we'll see, the set has to be well defined in order for us to pull it out. So the universal set, called U like that, is just the collection of all objects under consideration. So like A through Z would be the universal set for the English alphabet. Sets can be either finite or infinite. Infinite sets mean that there's an uncountable amount in there. And so the way that we express an infinite set is to do this, where we'll establish a pattern. So for this, we call these natural numbers. It's just the counting numbers. They start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they keep going. Well, instead of just writing all those out, because at some point you got to stop, because if it's an infinite set, you're not going to be able to fill them all out anyway. You're going to get tired before you do that. And so then we just establish a pattern with 4 of them, put a comma like we're going to put the next one in, and then we just put dot, dot, dot to show that it just continues with that pattern. So if this is our universal set, in other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, going on and on to infinity, which is just all the counting numbers, then if that's our universal set, then we can go through and pick sets out of that. So a finite set is just one where we have all of them listed. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are elements that are taken from that set U, even though the 5, the 6, and the 7 are not physically listed here. That's what the dot, dot, dot represents. That it just keeps on going. Any finite set, you just open, fill them in, and close. Now, you can have a situation like this, and I'm sure we'll run across it in a bit, but I'm just going to show you. You can also use the dot dot to just shorten a set that's too long. I'll show you what I mean. So let's say we're going to go, we want to write out the set of odd numbers less than 100. All right, that's an awful lot of them. So this is the way we do it, because that's not an infinite set. It ends at 100. So what we would do is we would do something like this. I'm going to establish my pattern because it's odd. So all of those are odd. And then I'm going to go dot, 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 dot. But now it's not infinite. It ends at what? It says 100, but that's not an odd number. So we're going to end it with 99. And so that dot, dot, dot is a way to shorten a set, even if it's not infinite. All right. All right. Let's just talk about a few symbols. This is the one symbol right there. See, it looks sort of like a little pitchfork. You know, if you had a handle on it, you could play devil going around poking somebody with it. Well, what that little thing means is the symbol. I thought I had that written somewhere, but I'm going to write it out to make it clear. Where it reads okay, so that little symbol right there, that little pitchfork thing, just as a shorthand way to say is an element. So for example, on this one right here, this said A, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can say 7 is an element of 8. I'm sorry, is an element of A. Okay. So let's say I wanted to write that out using that little symbol. 6 and I'm going to have to come back and write that in with my pen. Okay. Well, that's not the best one. Let me see if I can do it a little bit better. So there's your little pitchfork thing. So that reads 6 is an element of A, which is a true statement because 6 is in there. Yeah. You could also do this. Let's say 10 is not an element of A. And both of those are true statements. Because 6 is in there inside of A, 10 is not. Set builder notation is a more versatile way, and it really works well for when you have a lot of numbers. So something like the one that I had originally written that went up to 99. The set builder notation is real good for doing sets like that with a lot of numbers because it uses less than and greater than. So I'll show you what I mean. All right. So remember, the counting numbers is what we looked at up there when we were talking about that universal set. Some books will denote it with this little symbol here. It just looks like a fancy N with a sash in between. That just means natural numbers, counting numbers. All right. So with a way I can use my set builder notation, this just reads as A is a set. This right here is just kind of verbiage. It just means X such that X is a natural number, meaning it's counting, doesn't include anything in between like fractions or decimals. And then, let's see, we were talking about this one here. So this is that set. So here's the way to write it with this set builder notation. You're going from 5 to 8. And the way you read this is X is between 5 and 8. And then because there's an equal sign underneath each one of those inequalities, that means it includes the 5 and the 8. If you didn't want to include the 5 and the 8, you could take out the equal sign. And a matter of fact, we can write that exactly the same set right there by just backing up one on each side. In other words, going to 4, and instead of having the equal sign, we just say the less than sign. So that means that X is greater than 4, or 4 is less than X, however you want to read it. But that still means the same thing, that X is between 4 and 9, but we don't include the endpoints. And since they're natural numbers, we come back to 5 and 8. So watch that when you're dealing with problems that use this inequality inside of the set builder notation. All right. They might have some of these in here using just a description. To me, those are kind of trivial and they don't really have much value, but you can set up set builder notation there. And again, it's a little awkward when you read it, but it just C is a set in X. The little line means such that X is a human with brown hair. And then instead of listing out all the people in the set with brown hair, then that description gives us the same N, because then we can go through and find the ones that have brown hair from the description. Something that is well defined has to be able to be created using the description. If a set is well defined, we should be able to take a description and know exactly what's in it. All right, so equality of sets just means that they're exactly the same. Exactly the same. So, and when we say exactly the same, we don't have to worry about repetition, because if something repeats, if an element repeats, we only look at it one time. Same thing with order. Order of the sets doesn't really matter. Generally, we will put them in order because it's easier on our brain to know if we've got something listed correctly, if they're in order. All right, but here's set A. It's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And B is 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Are those two sets equal? I'm kind of saying they are, but are they the same? Well, they got 2 8s, but as long as we got 1 8, we're all right. So that instead of being 2/8, that translates to 1/8. So we only count it once. And then there's your 5, which is the 5, the 6, there's the 6, 7, 7. So these two sets are equal, even though there's one that's repeated and they are not in the same order. So order and repetition does not change the value of the set. Same thing with both of these. When we say the cardinal number, we want to know how many are in the set. It's just an old term that just means how many is in that set. And usually you write it like this: in, open and close, put the set name in there so you know which one to go over there and count. In this course means count. How many? All right. So if the counts of each set are the same, they can be equivalent even if the elements are not exactly the same. Let me show you what I mean. If two sets are equivalent, then the number of elements in one set would be the exact same number of elements in the other set. They do not have to be the exact same elements. What do I mean? Well, if set A has the elements 2, 4, 6, and 8 in it, and set B has A, B, C, and D in it, those are not the same elements. So these are not equal, but they both have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. So these sets are equivalent, not equal, but equivalent. Now, just to let you know, if two sets are equal, then they are equivalent because they got the same number of elements in it. But if they're equivalent, they're not necessarily equal. And this example shows us that they're not equal. All right, we're almost done here. It looks like I'm not going to go over too much. So the empty or null set can be put in one of two ways. I don't know what Newton prefers, but usually both of these are universal. In other words, meaning that everybody uses them in all the textbooks, but I'm not going to say that because it'd be the one textbook that doesn't use it. But an empty or null set is when it doesn't have any in it. So the most intuitive way to write it is just open your curly bracket and close it, because you put nothing in there, so it's empty. Or you can use this symbol here. But that one, you got to have it usually on a toolbar. In other words, Alex has got it in a toolbar because there's no keyboard. There's no key for that on the keyboard. So you can even write it out in the description. The set of immortal people is an example of an empty set because we don't have anybody to put inside of it. All right. So that's good. I'm just open now to answer anything. I got everybody here today. I'm hopefully we'll get more people tomorrow. I had Natasha. She emailed me during the break saying that she was nobody showed up. I told her, I said, I think you were in this class when you should have been in the O2O. All right. Anybody got anything? Y'all can hear me okay, huh?
Yeah, so we just gonna be meeting in this class and not the other class. So
Yeah, you
what is
got
it?
both of
120?
them. This is two classes.
Yes. So
It's
we're
two
gonna
classes.
okay.
The one at 11 o'clock is the 020, and then at 12:30 is the 120.
Okay.
Where can I access this information that we were just reading? I think I missed that. Oh, in this.
There's a couple different ways to get it, but if you go down on the addendum, see that? Right there. And you just click on it and it'll open it up. It's also probably over here. Or I will put it over here. I can put it in here too. I'm just going to call it course notes. It's not really a textbook. So you can get it through there too.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else we got? Let's see. That's a long question. Let's see. Was that Justice? Okay, the 020, I'll kind of explain that. The 020 is a support class. Its primary function is to help you get up to speed on things that we're going in Math 120. So, like in the 020, I may go over how to convert a fraction to decimals, and then I may have a little assignment for you to do for the participation. And the participation grades are mainly what 020 is based upon. And when we say it's not mandatory, the mandatory part would be it is not necessary to pass the 020 in order to pass the 120. So if you are one of these typical Delgado students who's got loads of work and little time, then your primary focus would be on this class. Now, there are some students they've concentrated on the first one because once you pass that 020, you don't, and you if you fail the 120, you don't have to take the 020 again. You can just go right to the 120. So you can do it both ways, but I don't believe that it shows up on your transcript or it does not show up in grade point average. Although there has to be a record somewhere because otherwise they won't know that you've completed it. But everything that needs to be passed that will fulfill your degree requirement, and I'm assuming why you're in this class, is this one, the Math 120. And that question, Justice, about that's pretty correct what you're saying. All the help besides contacting you are from the Newton and video lectures. Remember, we also have these. These are pretty much what I do lecture on. And then I put them in here after each day. So I'll put a new orientation here, which is kind of what today is. in there, and then I'll have the one that we did a little bit earlier in the O2O if you're interested. Because sometimes that, even if in this way, you can get access to it even if you're not in that class. And I think almost everybody is in the O2O. It's just there's a few people who are not, and if they want those, they can get them here because these are just on YouTube. And you can kind of see it's the same thing that I did this morning, but it was just in a previous class. So those are your resources. There are probably some very good resources that you would like if you want to poke around on YouTube. I can help you with that if you need some other help. So hopefully that answers that question, Justice. Does that help? All right. Anything else? Oh, and this right here, they told me about this. Evidently, some people wanted to know how to review if you had missed an assignment or you had completed an assignment but you were still unsure. Well, this right here will tell you a little bit about that. I haven't really looked at it yet, but check that out as well. And that's why I got it right here. Because when I was talking to him about the tax, they showed me that. All right, so we're about an hour in, so that's a good time to end. I'll stay here if you got anything, all right?
Thank you for everything. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye-bye, Brandon.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Cruz, I'm confused. So, do we log on at 11?
At 11 o'clock, if you're in that class.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the prerequisite. That's the one that's based upon in-class participation for the most part.
Okay, so we log on to that class every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Every day it meets at 11 o'clock.
Okay, and then we log on for this one at 12:30.
Exactly. And then this is the one that you want to pay attention. Like I said, I can see you're busy, but if you just realize that class is based upon participation in assignments that are done in class, and then this one, I've always kind of tried to be flexible about attendance, but in the first one I can't really do that now because everything is based upon a daily participation. But in this class, as long as you are able to handle the tests and do well on the tests, you know, you're not being here is not gonna you know, I'm not going to take it out on you or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I got confused. That I didn't know I was supposed to log on today at 11, so I just seen the one for 12:30.
Well, you're not missing anything other than you can go back and look at that. See, this is why I got this. See, if you really want to know what to do, you can go back and click on that and look at it. I'm going to try to put the new one in there, but it's pretty much the same.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.